One, call halal Yahweh Shalom Shai Ba'Shem Rakak double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers. To the confusion of faith brothers joined unto our ranks. The hopefully elect, the Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. It's your brother Malcolm from the branch of GMS here in Chicago. Coming at you with another lesson. Profiling a video, a couple videos. And it's just Esau at war with Esau and the prophecies coming to pass. And this video here is called Global Conflict Serving Elite Financial Agenda. And it is, because the goal is to bring in the RFID chip. The prophecies are happening. And Esau's tongue is falling upon himself. So let's start with those two scriptures. This is Psalm 64:8. And it reads, "So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And all men shall fear, and shall declare the work of power, for they shall wisely consider his doing." And now the other nations are considering the doings of the elites. All right, and the nations are angry. They've drank the wine, and democracy is failing them. The petrodollar is failing them. Even Saudi Arabia is talking about dropping the petrodollar and taking other forms of payments for its oil now. So America is in a lot of trouble. All right, they're spread thin militarily, and now their enemies are too great. This is just the same, and at the same time that that's happening, the infrastructure here and back here in America is falling apart. The roads, the food, the storage of extra food, everything's falling apart. All right, this is Habakkuk 2 and verse 1, and it reads, "And I will stand upon my watch and set upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what shall I answer when I am reproved? And Yahweh answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. But at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." So 10 plus long years I've been waiting to see what's going on in the world now. Even though out the gate from the time that I woke up, I saw it happening. I believed. I heard the scriptures broken down properly, and I heard the new song and latched onto it and have returned back. And Yahweh Ratazah, that never changes. I finished this race. But I saw these things coming into play, and now they're happening. And it's not tearing anymore, it's happening. Okay? Esau did a couple things that stalled it out, and one of the things that he did to stall it was that quantitative easing that he did 3 times. And now he's to the point he's past the point of no return. Just like he is with his numbers, with births. Esau has no other alternative but to push the button, because their rulership is over. Well, however you look at it, however you cut this piece of pie, because it's not enough of them of childbearing age to keep them going. Their biggest population is their older people. They've lost too many young to the drugs, and then a lot of those drug victims and Edomites don't have and not having children collectively. So their numbers are very low, not only here in America but around the world. It's the same thing, because they brought their women into the workplace and made their women career-minded, and which destroyed homes and family values, and look at what it's gotten them. But let's let Stephen, this imposter Jewish guy who's going to speak this broken form of Hebrew, which Yiddish-based Hebrew, which they say it's Hebrew, but it is not. That was put together by Ben Yehudi Eleazar in the 1800s, when he changed and added all the vowel points and the dots and the things and changed the language and now they speak Yiddish, which the definition is basically a German Slavic language written in Hebrew characters, but it's not actual Hebrew. So without any further ado, let's let his tongue fall upon himself.
Shalom Chaverim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. It's April the 7th, 2019. And of course, the title of our broadcast, Global Conflict, Serving an Elite Financial Agenda. That sounds pretty like a wild statement to make there, but I think when you take a look at some of the headlines here that we're looking at, and then going into some of the issues that we're going to be facing soon, I think it might make more sense. It's actually probably even a much bigger endeavor than what I can fathom myself. We already are looking right here on in France right now. It's just really going completely out of hand. And we're dealing with both, these are the yellow vest protesters, the right wing and the left wing there. They're now fighting one another in this conflict in France. And in just a moment here, you're going to see them when they really go to head here in this battle. I'll kind of move it forward just a little bit. They'll keep provoking one another till they just get into an all-out brawl. And when they do, of course, one group's bigger than the other, they're going to push the smaller group back. And there they go. A knockdown drag out, slugging it out. And of course, if you begin to look at...
This is 2 Ezra 16 and 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, and feed you being idle with things offered unto idols. Their philosophies, offering a chip to bring peace to this chaos that's happening, but there is going to be no peace. But when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come. Verse 69. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision, and in a reproach, and in trodden under foot. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear Yahweh. So these riots right here is also going to, it's going to be hard for the men of the Lord and the people of the Lord, because eventually this is all going to be blamed on the Israelites, as it was when Rome fell the first time. But you're looking at great insurrections as they begin to start. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold is tried in the fire. Because then you're going to realize who the real men of the Lord are. When this right here, what you're looking at on the screen, comes to America, it's going to be 100 times worse. And that thing over there in France is only getting, man, that's been going on for what, about 4 months now? About 4 months. Every weekend they riot in that city, and they're destroying houses, property, you name it.
The different videos that are coming out, it's almost like what's going on in France right now. Of course, there's that closer view of that brawl itself, them fighting one another. It's not even in this case here the police beating them half to death, but now it's the yellow vest protesters fighting one another. But they're destroying.
Well, this is 2 Ezra 15 and 15. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Right? And the modern day sword is a gun, but a sword can be any weapon. These people have batons and sticks and knives, bottles, bats, butcher knives, axes, hatchets. A lot of people are going to die when it goes completely shit hit the fan, ape shit. Imagine a lot of people are going to die by hammers and baseball bats. Those are going to be, because those are common household items that everyone has. And you better believe a hammer is a very dangerous and deadly weapon. It only takes one hit from a hammer to kill someone. All right? Or hit them so hard to where you damage them, where they've been better off dead, or they be messed up for the rest of their life. A hammer can do a lot of damage to the skull, to a body, to a bone. All right? And it says, and there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and in the course of their actions they shall stand in their power. That's right, because they're going to completely ignore the law officials. As a matter of fact, law officials are going to be outnumbered and become targets. A lot of them are going to quit or just not show up to work, because you getting called into work to go defend some building with a bunch of political, these crooked politicians in it. But yet there's riots in the neighborhood in your home where you live. A lot of cops are just gonna quit, man. It's gonna be utter chaos. And personally, I look forward to it. Just to see the looks on all these naysayers and these people who don't want to believe or take heed to the word. Because like I said, then it's gonna be found out who had the truth and who the real man of the Lord is. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. All right? Because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, and a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And you best believe, man, the lack of bread is coming. With all those storms, and those tempests, those earthquakes and storms, and fires, just like it promised would come, plentiful and back to back to back, and in places where it's never happened before. Mid-America just lost over 1 million cows, calves. All right, only Yahweh knows how many chickens, poultry. They lost a lot of pork, and a lot of stored up grain and things were destroyed by tornadoes and storms. And now you got this runoff from the snow melting on already swollen rivers and flooded farmlands. Nothing is going to get planted. So this stockpile of food that's in the stores, that is, by the time we get to the middle of the summer, going into the fall, you get ready to have some major food crises here in America. It has begun. They got so-called black celebrities promoting the RFID chip. So everything's coming to pass, man.
Destroying property, they're destroying private property, cars, burning motorcycles, destroying buildings, everything you can possibly imagine. But that's only part of the picture that we're looking at here. This global conflict, this global unrest that we see happening everywhere, and of course not just with the individuals, but we also have the wars themselves. And by the way, just another article here real quick. This was a journalist protest against yellow vest attacks on the media. Another issue there going on. But we have wars everywhere. The Jerusalem Post reporting Russia says it tested latest Panzer SM air defense system. This, of course, no doubt going to be deployed in Syria as part of the ongoing Syrian conflict. But then we also have the war over in, let me pull up the map here for you real quick. Libya, Tripoli, in fact, being the new hot spot right now. Battle going on all over again in Libya. Of course, we know General Wesley Clark said that was one of the nations that would be toppled. And wars are just everywhere. And it seems to be that there's no end. We got Venezuelan conflict. We got the Syrian conflict. Libya has been a conflict in the past. The refugee crisis that's been created by all these wars is completely going through the roof. And also the Jerusalem Post as well is reporting about Iran. Israel is not happy because Iran is set to take over the Latakia, or part of the Latakia port there. And that, according to the report here on the Jerusalem Post, this is supposed to take place, I think, on October the 1st. It says Iran is inching one step closer to establishing a foothold on Iran's doorstep, reportedly planning to lease Syria's main commercial port in Latakia. Now, they say it's on Israel's doorstep, but in reality, Latvia is nowhere near Israel's doorstep. It's actually about 200 miles away from the country to start with. But what's the difference in Iran getting part of the commercial port in Syria than China running 2 ports in Israel? In fact, running the ports so deeply involved in Israel that they are dictating to the U.S. military how they can come and port at the port with military ships, how they have to do it with no military hardware on deck of their ships when they port there.
So this is a people with a high IQ that allows, these people are so smart, right? Look, their whole IQ pseudoscience is just as false as this guy being an Israelite. This is a red, as you can see, he's wearing a white shirt, Hebrew Israelite. He is not white. All right? He's wearing a white t-shirt and a white collared shirt. And his skin is reddish pink. He is a son of Edom. All right? That's also part of the prophecies being revealed. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and read that and we'll end this session. Because he's sitting over in the land. And this is actually one of my favorite scriptures to read. All right? I don't think he's actually in Israel. I know he goes there a lot. I could be mistaken. Because he does his show from there quite often. But it's but this is Ezekiel 36:5. Therefore thus saith Yahweh power, surely in the fire of my jealousy I have spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea which have appointed my land into their possession. And with the joy of all of their heart and with spiteful minds did cast it out for a prey. They cast it out, Israel, and now the Idumeans, which is the Greek way of saying Esau, Edom, has appointed the land of Israel into their possession. All right, that's the biblical prophecy, and it has been fulfilled. All right, and it was fulfilled by Esau, Edom. They appointed to the land, and then they parted it. All right, that was the prophecy. The second part of that prophecy is found in the book of Joel. So with that, I hope this was an edifying lesson. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Abashai Bashem Rakakwadash Wa Abba Babal.